Okay, let's tie a bow on the Living in the New 4D reality program, video 7. And we will tie a bow with the understanding that in the news update I gave today, I said it was a 10-10-6 sequence, which it was in terms of we have a 10-19 and then 2022, which is the number 6. But actually, if we go with the numbers as we know of it, it's a 10-10-7. And the reason why I put it that way is because I wanted it to be free choice in understanding of this is what has expired and transpired with the solar flares. And then were in week 6 in terms of the last week to do the choosing as in the 3-6, week 36. Where the last choice was with the what we call the third cycle type of energies. And I had my own little work to be doing today with the dark ones and shutting the final pieces of my connection there with, as I said, letting go of everything that is connected to what used to be a member of one of my lineage, and which diverted into the 13 collective. And by that, as far as I am concerned, as far as I know, what I have got connection to, all timelines are now cleared. But of course, people can come to me that have genetics of him and remaining configurations under his programs, so that can be sparked to life again, of course, but then I'll know there will be nothing to uphold it other than what is in that person. If it is a severe impact, well, then I will just tell that person that he and I or she and I don't have any further trajectory together, because whatever he or she is on is no longer part of my reality. But if they do come, it will show that there is something within my own holographic energy system that I have not seen yet and that I need to clear out. And I have a strong feeling that that will be connected to my physical molecular level under the Pleiadian programs. Because that would make sense to me, considering that most of what I'm been dealing with dark ones have been in the 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th dimension of our reality field up to dimension 11. So that would make sense, as everything is being pulled into our reality, either first through the 2-8 pillar, where we will have every single winter, we will have the abyss energies coming up and collecting what is theirs. Because this is the true dynamics of our outer reality. Whatever's not viable will always be sucked into the abyss. And winter time is where that happens in the northern hemisphere, as well as winter time in the southern hemisphere. It will happen the same way down there, except that they are doing it in what we understand to be summertime, but it will still be in the winter period of the year that follows the northern hemisphere. So they will have their descent now, as well as we are having it on September 21st. And even though they do go in what we call summertime, the underworld and the netherworld and the abyss will still be opening up their gate systems and collect what is theirs. And I can say that without a shred of a doubt, because I've been down there during what is the northern hemisphere winter time and the southern hemisphere summertime. So there is no opposition, as in they just went through winter time, and by that we're going through their underworld cycle. Well, they're entering into it now along with the rest of the world. So that's how it's going to be for the next 13 years. And the plan is, of course, to get rid of all unwanted templates, energy systems, and different forms of configurations that allows for a connection to the dark worlds, the fallen worlds, the regressed worlds, whatever type of worlds, inside what we call our reality field. And the parallel universal matrix are working alongside with us on that one for a time being. Some 15 years is what I'm getting. And then they will pull out what they have got invested, and that will begin to be the fall of America as we know of it. And then whatever will come there, we will see whatever that is, whatever type of communities that will rise there. But the new order of the ages that temporarily has shifted under the guardianship of the future human communities they will then come back in and begin their reconstruction of America to fit what we call the New Order of the Ages. And we're not talking the New World Order here that was under the Atlantean Dark Projects, but we're talking about their version of the future human communities. So there are different levels that are working together, and then they're splitting up, and then they are working in a new direction. As I said, when we go into the fourth dimension, it all comes down to genetic affinity and energetic affinity. And we all need to work to create some sort of future with new sciences, new ways of living, new ways of being human, new ways of everything. However that is going to play out. So that's part of that's a given. So it's all up to us to choose what we want to do. And since I, in the last video, kind of put the last thing in of the choice making, video 6, always about correct partnership, right? So that's the choice making. Where do you want to put your eggs? And of course, we don't put all our eggs into the same basket as into the New Reality program. We keep the majority of our eggs as part of the restoration program. I will continue to work on that one, including when we're talking about the genetic modification that we can do ourselves in the biosciences that I'm going to develop. It will be the biosciences of the Pleiadian projects with the molecular state of the physical form. Again, working with the transformative energy system, but now we have worked with the understanding of recreating the mind field, which I didn't get in the transition sciences and the clearing work, but in the templates courses, I did it there. We there got the understanding of how to recreate our mind field. We will use the sciences of the New Reality program, because that's why I put it in there as an opposition to the sciences of the original progressive races that used to exist inside the solar system. And that will be some of the higher levels of the Pillar Project that will be part of our reconstruction of our mind field to be aligned with what we could call the template levels of whatever's left of the Pillar Project consciousness units. But we will always, when we talk about the mind field, it always needs what we call an opposition or a polarity. We know oppositions about the emotional field or the vibrational field, so that we have two different types of vibration that work together to create synergy that creates the highest level of it, be it purity rate or standards, that will allow to ignite our mind field. Since the mind field is always vertically positioned, the vibrational field is always horizontally positioned. We can only get the horizontal level of our vibrational field up to a vertical point by creating synergy between two oppositions. Once we have created synergy and lifted it up to the mind field and igniting that one, the only way we can get the consciousness units to descend into our mind field is if there's a vertical line that goes in what we understand as polarity between what we are now and what we want to become. So that's a whole other level of orientation. And that goes with complex information systems, and it goes with what we could say the structural layers of patterns of change that we are engineering into our mind field. And since we can't use the base program sciences, they are simply too low for this task. And we haven't got the Pillar Project, science projects, so to speak, inside this reality. The only option we have are the New Reality sciences. And that's why I've looked at things and said, between all evils, I'm not going to do what's left of the fifth dimensional dark world sciences, even though the dark ones have tried to sell me that one. But no, it's infected, so that will just create infected minefields. We need a new type of patterns of change. We need new types of complex information systems that we can work with that do not hold the dark configuration, that does not hold in any ways or forms the fallen Y chromosome features. Hence, what's left? I'm not doing the parallel universal matrix, even though they have been trying for a very long time to get me on board. I do not do the whole solar Rishi Christ consciousness. That's my brother. Fuck that. No, thank you. Sorry about that, but that's just very emotional, right? No, can't do that. I just can't. Everything in me just kind of says, no, that would be a step back. I need to do something new, something else where someone actually has been in the deep end of the really, really sad futures that are there, understand why they need to do something differently, and by that are ready to take actions that are actually what we say following some what we call the original progressive dynamics, as in when things are not viable, it must be cut loose. And the parallel universal matrix races are not doing that. They are clinging on to whatever they have got. And I am so sick of this clinging on to things that have failed. So hence, between different evils, which one is most aligned with my standards? And my standards are and will always be what has failed must be cut loose. That's just it. If it reached a momentum of failure that is beyond 30%, then we have had strike one. When it goes into 40%, that's strike two. When it goes into 50%, that's strike three, you're out. Simple as that, because the infection rate is too high if we continue to mingle with people that have that flaw or that distortion level in their genetics due to the fourth dimensional features that are coming in, which we have learned by now that in the fourth dimension and the features that are coming in from next year means that if we are connected to people that have these flaws built in their genetics, we will be affected by it as well, as is shedding. It will jump from them to us. We already have seen the signs of it with the parasites. The next step is the imprinting that will become a problem, because we will live with people or be around people that will sit in our chairs, be in our houses or walk on the streets or whatever. And their field imprint will linger on, and we will then get connected to it. And by that can be reconfigured unless we change our molecular state as well. So that's also the implications of the technological modulation programs they are doing, genetically speaking. We'll have to do it the hard way ourselves. So we'll continue. So to be able to do that, it's fine for me just to live my own little life here and have nobody around me when I go out and just work with nature, because nature and I have always had a close connection, because that's what's left of the original construction under the Pleiadian program. So I'll just say fine. The Greys have been targeting these witch lineages that have that ability. And that's part of my physicality, unfortunately. That's the lineage my physical form has sprung out of. So not that I'm a witch or anything, but the Pleiadian lineages that have taken over the course of time to be wise women living in solitude in the forest. So see, I'm already imprinted for that kind of destiny and that way of living, including not having a connection to males, because those of us who are, or that physical form, or the physical form, the soul that used to be here, because she took off some 5, 6, 7 years ago. And of course, she already, the highest version of her took off when this body was 4 years and had the drowning incident. And then I came in, the start of me came in, but then I was under control of what we could call the dark forces under my brother for a very long time, until the councils were able to get access to me. And that began with the Gaians interfering with me in 2016, alongside with the other factions that were then understanding what potentials there were actually in me in the activation. And then the whole battle that's been going on for the last 6 or 7 years, and then finally ending yesterday. Very, very long process. But along that, once the Gaians came in, or the 70s came in, what was left of her. Portions of her pulled out in 2011, and the last portions of her pulled out in 13 and 15 and 16. It's been a slow pulling out on all the different layers, similarly as the sun has shut down over a longer period of years. And we could say the final process of her leaving everything off her shields in my energy system began in 2007, when the sun began its own process. Then it began in my body as well, because I'm aligned with the original construction of the sun. So therefore, it kind of came in that way. Okay, so these are just some of the things where we begin to understand how things are interconnected. and why we're doing what we're doing and why we make the choices that we make. And as I always say, I'm just sharing with you how I see things, how I perceive things. And here we could say I'm an influencer, right? But I'm sharing what I know with you and all of the levels of it so that you can make your own choice, but also get understandings of, okay, how complicated it is and how nuanced all of these different layers are and what they're connected to, and that we are never really done, that we are always on a transformative path, that we always live to strive for progression, that we always are existing in a dynamics between the old universal energies of the previous universal cycle and the one we want to transform into the present state so that we can become something new in the future with a new type of life force under the progressive races. And if that's not possible, okay, then we are stuck in the reality field where we are. But then we must strive still for the highest purity rate and the highest standards and the highest progression rate within the circumstances that we are part of, so that we perhaps not in this cycle, well then in the next one, will be able to do the transition into the holographic metaverse. Okay? So, but you choose yourself how you want to do this. Many of you have not gone through so many things as I have. Many of you are a little bit more in a positive way naive. You have not been through all of the upheavals and strives and wars and everything that I know. So therefore you might choose differently. You might perceive things differently. And it's okay. You have that. You are understanding what you are understanding with who and what you are in the way that you need to understand things. Okay, there's no right way or wrong way to understand things. It all comes down to your energy system and it all comes down to your genetics. And my personal history has formed me into who and what I am and how I perceive things and what I align with and what I deal with. And the same with you. Okay, so everything's good and fine. There's no bigger or lesser or more beautiful or less beautiful or the right way or the wrong way or whatever. There are things as they are according to where you are, what you need to work with, what you originally were, and what you choose to become in the vertical line of integrating what's left of your upper level template genetics. Because as the councils have pulled out, the libraries pulled out, and whatever's left is what's technically connected to our holographic energy system, the 6 layers of the transformative energy system. And for most, that's only within the 1-7 pillar. So also, I always knew that there's no biggie there. And that's all you need. That is all you need, because as you will know from the template science courses already know, the 1-7 pillars, all you need to do the restoration. That's you, that's your energy system, what you are, what you chose to be and why you came here, and all about you. The 2-8 is you and others. The 3-9 is you and reality. And you don't need others in reality other than for the highest good of the many and to respect the reality field you're part of in a manner where you take responsibility for everything you are so you do not cause harm. That's technically all you need to know to do the progression work, get into the restoration program. But you have to nail the 1-7 pillar to completion. And that's why the guidance of the opposite version of that one has come in, because they are on that level. So those of you who are in alignment with that type of genetics, you will probably encounter some of the guidance. But again, beware of manipulation. When I say this, don't look out for them, because then you will for sure be tricked. Okay? So you hear this and then you forget it, and then you work within the framework of the progression work. You do your clearing work, you do your energy work, you clear out your emotional field, you focus on the things that are important for you to clear out on a personal level. And then if you are to do reality field and others, you focus on some sort of business where you can follow the new guidelines. And of course, you are as kind and caring that you can be with the people around you, but I already covered the basis of that one in the Future Human Project course 1-4. So I don't need to go there. That's part of, it goes without saying, right? So the last directive, or the one we got in September, which will be, as far as I know, it will be the last one we'll get this year, because that it will cover the situation of winter time. The other directive of personal greed is kind of already run for a couple of years, if not more. But it all came to a head with the solar flares and the removal of the king. So this is the next step of the directive that we kind of come in. We have already put in, it's already, as explained in the previous video, it will be taken care of. The ones that are following under the first directive of the self-promotion, selfishness, greed paradigm, they will be weeded out. It's already in process, has been for a couple of years. I technically only put it in there because you needed to see it in writing, but it's already been playing out since 2016, technically 18, something like that. It's already been in play for a long time, which if you kind of think a little bit back, you'll see, oh yeah, Me Too movement and all these kind of things. We're getting rid of the predators, the perverts, and the self-promoting, self-preservative type of beings that are here on our planet on all levels, so that we can have some kind of equity and what we could call a type of brother-sisterhood on this planet, where we understand we work as a team to ensure that there will be a future for as many as possible. Simple as that. So that's a whole new way of perceiving reality. And then the next step of that one is, of course, when we begin to understand, now we work to create a situation or reality field, new type of governments, new type of social structures, new type of health industry, new type of financial systems that will assure that those of us who are living within the new reality paradigm, that we will change the way we resource allocate the planetary resources. And it's said in the human resource allocation, and you need to understand the double meaning of that one, because it both means humans that are doing resource allocation, but it also means the resource allocations of humans being the resource. Remember human resource management, right? So within businesses. So that's also part of it. So it's a double paradigm. It's a double directive. So that's the trickery that goes with that one. But that's always what it means. It has different layers. And that's, again, important that you always shift out of your human perception and go into the double awareness and understand the higher order implications of the information that you've been given. So in the months to come, humanity will learn new ways of usage of their planetary resources. We already got it with the electric power, right? It's already been implemented, at least here in Europe. America's a little bit behind because they're still linking up to the parallel universal matrix and some of the regressed races. So they have their technology in play. And then we have the rest of the world, which I'm not so interested in that anymore, because it's just kind of, most of it is beneath the Southern Hemisphere. Don't want to go there. That's a false system. Then we have it Russia and all the way China, India. It doesn't matter. Same bullshit. So, and then we have the whole East Bloc, as in kind of where will they go? But they are technically still energetically connected to Russia. So we will have where we had the Berlin Wall. That's kind of where Europe technically begins. So everything beyond that, even though it's now no longer West and East Berlin, the wall still stands energetically. That's where that wall is. And then we have some of the Southern European countries, but they are under what we call the equatorial line. So they are technically being sucked into the Southern Hemisphere. So it's all divided. So therefore, with this whole kind of the one that's left of interest, because many of you that are doing this are coming from America, is the parallel universal matrix. So you might experience this differently. But if you want to do kind of what we call the new reality program and not the parallel universal matrix, this is of interest for you to change your ways and begin to seed that in America. And the parallel universal matrix, because we're on the joint broadband, will not oppose against it. So again, if I were living in America and under the directives of the parallel universal matrix, I would do the progression work in what we call in opposition to the parallel universal matrix. But I do not live in America, I live in Europe, hence the future human communities. Okay? Simple as that. So we are opting for a change within the consumption of energy, energy utilization, and energy production to instigate needed changes in ways of perceiving the rightful use of energy, what is needed and what is uncalled for. And that goes in with the previous video. I kind of already explained there. It goes with principle 8, correct use of energy. And I'll talk about that in Template Science Course 3 and throughout the progression sciences, the progression work and the sciences behind the progression work. It's all to understand that if you want to uphold the reality network, you must align with the rules and the laws and whatever's going on in that network. Otherwise, you will distort it. And if you can't do that, then go somewhere else. Simple as that. So that's the simple way. So that's part of the whole. Since humans did not do it by their own free will with COP26, then it is now being pushed upon as a directive. Step 1. Step 2, it will have physical effect in minimizing and minimization of how much we can use, how much we can consume of energy every day. And it will be done for us, forcing us to change our ways as we saw the last 3 years. We already had the whole genetic change that were given with the stellar activation cycle. Nobody really did anything, did they? So they got it the hard way. Similar with this one. So the taps will be closed until we have learned to deal with the correct balanced way of energy consumption as well as energy utilization and energy production. 3 different understandings. Consumption is kind of where you interfere and consume the energy you integrate into your energy system as a part of who and what you are, but it's also a part of the household. Energy utilization is connected to the reality field network, how you interconnect with the energies of the network that you're part of. That's the higher level of it. And then the energy production that comes as a trinity between the consumption and utilization. So the ones that are in the retirement program, they will be consuming the fallen network energies, and by that, they will become more and more distorted. And sometimes when I'm pushed back into the fallen timelines of the 4th cycle, I get these parasitic entities coming in saying, oh, you're overusing, because they are trying really, really, really hard to keep themselves floating and continue to exist. But it's very, very difficult because there's very, very little left for them to work with. And we will again this winter see that certain groups within humanity beyond the age of 50 in Denmark will get the offer of continuing what we call the biotech upholding, so they won't be connected to the distortion fields. Okay, so we are here understanding that as we clear our own energy system and we are connecting correctly to the network of a reality field, either as part of the host field or the original higher levels of the Lemurian 4th cycle network bridging into the 5th, we are then our consumption and our utilization will be minimized, as we talked about with the food. If your transformative energy system is working correctly, you will need less food, you will need less energy, you will consume less energy, both within your what you eat of food, nutrition, but also in terms of your home and how you are doing your daily life with electric power. You will simply just use less because you will arrange yourself in ways where it will be natural for you to use as little electric power as possible, because it's frequency energies. So we minimize that one, and then we create a new type of energy that is in higher vibrational state that will then connect us once the sun rises back up with the new frequency spectrum under the new reality program in March. And that will be how we will connect to the new versions or the new insertions into the sun, and that will assist us in our continued attempt to change our molecular state. So also very important. So during winter time, even though that you're used to do certain things, this is where you change your behavior all the way through and through. Change everything. So whatever you have got of blockages towards this new way of living, that's energetic parasites, regress genetics, and you need to do your clearing work so you understand why this is the right thing to do and completely kind of say, well, okay, fine, I'll do it this way because anyways, I know this is where all signs are pointing in that direction. So of course I'll do it, right? No matter where you are, you should really be thick-headed and dense not to get that you need to change your ways. As always, the best way to learn new ways are through programs shifting the perception of the self-other reality trinity and how to apply the new modalities into a reality perception that allows for more productive ways of usage of planetary resources. And that will, of course, cover all aspects of our human lives, including, which we already got it with food. That was the first one we got, turning vegan. Then we got the whole kind of, as vegan, there are certain things you should eat and not eat because they're very planetary resource consuming, such as avocados and other stuff that are really unsustainable for the environment. So we need to shift our ways in that one. And then we had all of these artificial products that were created that were also very energy consuming, and they will be weeded out eventually as well. So we'll get back into the understanding, okay, we'll cook our own food and we'll live in a very, very simplistic manner, similar as if we were on a space station, right? You don't need all of that over excess of everything. If you combine your food in a nutritional scheme that covers all of the bases of what you need as a human, and you're doing your energy work and you're doing your clearing work and you're reconstructing yourself, you will understand that you need very little food actually during the daytime. You will probably need some. The whole kind of, you will not need anything. I don't really see that one coming, but of course I'm not, who am I to tell, right? But I don't see myself becoming a breatharian or a solitarian or anything. A solarian would be the word. I don't see myself becoming that one, or an aquafarian or anything, because I am in this type of physical form that I'm in. I'm sorry if there is a little bit of background noise because I have got my window open. So due to the incoming unwarranted regress programs and influences, the new reality directives are linked to different forms of new technology in the fourth dimension, which will assist the needed changes inside the enclosure. And here we're talking about the base program. The regulations are given openly to receptible humans and will be influencing governmental decision making. As always, the directives are voluntary and not imposed as a law, but we have understood the differences between the directives, the laws, and the regulations as I explain them in the background course of the new reality program. We're here talking about the sciences. A law will mean you will come under transgression right away. Regulations are very voluntarily, and there will be no transgression. But directives are in between, so you can do it by your own free will, but if you kind of go beyond the different strikes, you're out. Hence the in-between and not a law, because then no human would be able to do it. We still have a lot to learn, and these are the different directives and programs that are coming in play, where we will learn the different aspects of what we need to change in a way that we can transform alongside with it energetically, emotionally, and mentally, without having the great upheaval of getting the rock pulled away under our feet, but instead teaches us to do what we call a more amicable type of transition. But of course, as I talked about, the ones that have been elected or selected for, depending on, some have been elected, others have been selected for the new reality lineages, they will of course be assisted by new technology. Our reality, the enclosure base program, is assisted by new type of technology. And the regulations are given openly to receptible humans. That will be the personal instructions you will get, as I talked about, and will be influencing governmental decision making, as we are seeing it with Germany and Denmark, that are now kind of saying, yeah, we'll begin to cut down our usage of electric power. As always, the directives are voluntary and not imposed as a law. So you here see the three different levels. The regulations are given sometimes during sleep, with the ones that are not linked up yet physically, emotionally, and mentally, and by that not perceiving it directly. I get it directly, but I also get certain levels in dream time. So we could say that people inside the governmental programs, so to speak, that are part of our politically elected people, at least here in Europe, they will get this as a necessity in the regulations, and they will follow it, because some of the ones we have got now are engineered for the program. So they will get it from within, and they will just put it in play, and they will be, this is how we do it, and nobody will ask the questions. And then we have the directives as I've given it here. There's the overall program and not as a law yet. So first and foremost, personally induced information, and secondly, as directives in the reality field again. So this is the self-reality axis that we are here getting it from. So, but when we talk about the directives, they are under the laws of shared spaces within the universal sector of incoming races and their regulative ways of existence to maintain and uphold the host fields and the new systemic dynamic technologies inserted and implemented from higher grounds. So that means the laws are there. But that goes with how you operate in shared spaces. And I've told you this already. It's part of when you go outside, you are part of a shared space. There you come under the laws. If you don't play by the rule book when you leave your home, you will be smacked. That's why the cubes come in, scan you. And if you don't live up to that, you'll be cleared and wiped and whatever. That's just kind of how it is with what is not wanted in the host field. And then you'll be good to go and do whatever you want to do outdoor. And then, of course, in your own home, you can do whatever you want to do. But if you're kind of saying, oh, I don't want to do anything, you will have to live underground, because eventually, if you are still following what we could say the old world order-based program and the old retirement program and the distorted timelines of the fallen fourth cycle, well, then your home will be a dark beacon, and you will be pushed into the reality of the retirement program or under the abyss clean out processes every winter. So there really is no point in trying to avoid this. The penalty is going to be more and more severe for every year that passes by, including as we work through the 2.8 pillar. It's going to be a literal nightmare for those who have not changed their ways. So it's just kind of logical and common sense to choose to change our ways, even within our own personal households. So the new 4D drone technology will ensure the maintenance of the inserted fields, supported by the new directive of correct energy usage, field interference, general belief systems being harmful to the overall attempt to repair and prolong the current reality dynamics, not to keep these in place, but to ensure a slow transition for as many as possible. The scheme is set for a total shift around 2035, and the new directives and technologies will ensure that timetable is kept. And you here see all of the other failures where they thought they had it, but they didn't, because they were not clearing out enough momentum to be able to uphold their field. So they have learned their lessons of how contaminated and how distorted our reality field actually is. And they are now that's what we're seeing now in the new directives. They're literally just saying, yeah, no more second chances, no more this, no more that. It was kind of necessary doing the whole pushing out of the dark ones and the regressed races and all these kind of things. But as everybody has kind of got played out their possibilities of restoring what was part of the old world order regime, there is no longer any nodal points or seed-in points inside our reality field. Well, then it's easier to begin to say, okay, now we're seriously upholding and lifting everything from all levels of reality. Earth has gone into its evac. So therefore, this is where you can put in these very strict directives, because it is now a system that's going into fall, and to prolong as much as possible so as many as possible can get out, hence the law of shared spaces. Then other rule sets kick in that allows for what we call more strict upholding of directives, and the transgression rate will be accumulated quickly because of the evac and fall dynamics. So that is why things have shifted. That's why we are no longer, that's now kind of either you do as you're told or the hammer falls, as we say it in Danish as well. We got some pretty strong idioms here in Denmark, which is sad that I can't translate them directly into English. I'm trying, but it kind of loses a little bit of weight. So, but with that final piece of it, of course, in the new reality program Sciences, I'll go more into what are the technologies behind this. But here you kind of got the personal level of understanding of what you need at this point. And then there will be more and deeper understandings of when we're beginning to change the molecular state, then we will have the regulations and the directives and the rules in a different manner, because then we are beginning to work with genetic material. When we begin to focus on the whole project, new business models that I will come up with, because I know I'll have to do that, then we will come under a different rule set that will be a bridge between the progressive world's way of working with the outer domain energies, because we're not supposed to build a big tent here. This is where we clean up stuff. So our business will have to be some kind of chimera between the progressive dynamics of having a business where we're transforming energy to release ourselves from this reality, and at the same time we are progressing and being creating some sort of service that will assist in the transformation of the reality field into the future human communities. So that's going to be a little bit of a tricky one, how we're going to do that. So that's the whole project new business. I will come up. I know it's been in the making for a very, very long time, because I keep telling you have to create your own business. Yeah, how, right? So we will have to get further into the fourth dimension and higher up in the fourth dimensional settings. Many of you will have to get there first before I can begin seeding in what you actively can do as an individual inside the new reality program. As long as a majority of you are still in the enclosure and still doing business within the enclosure, there's not much I can do for you, because you are then determining what we could say what is possible for the majority of the ones that are doing the progression work. Here you begin to understand the fourth dimension is kicking in the groups that are doing the progression work. So for the highest good of the many that can do the progression work, you should also begin to ponder upon whether or not you actually should do the progression work. Can you live up to the requirements of the holographic metaverse? If you can't, well, perhaps you should not remain within the progression work and let it go and accept the fact that you're not ready for it and that you are keeping the rest of us from moving forward. So that's also a challenge for many of you. So there will be different challenges in the years to come that were not there 2 years ago. And the path will get more and more narrow as the reality around us is shifting because of the activation and cleanup of the 2-8 pillar, which ties into the second cycle and the underworld. So it will be more and more as in kind of the ones that are able to proceed, they will proceed and they will not look back. And then the doors will close to prevent these enormously contaminated and distorted energies from follow in our wake or get in and bite us in the ass and make sure that nothing can come from what we have left behind. And that's the goal of the directives. That's the goal of the regulations. And that's the goal of the progression work. You will not be let into the restoration program if you have any code that belongs to the first, second, or third cycle. You will not get in. You will evaporate in the attempt. Okay, so therefore, it doesn't matter where you look at things. This is where you as a human make some pretty difficult choices and arrange yourself in ways where you can choose that this is the path for you, and you will follow the instructions that you will get from the path itself, because we are in evac. So the restoration program has kicked in with a new set of directives as well, or a new type of holographic teaching systems. Your original template structure has also kicked in with a new level because of the closure of the library. the reality field itself is kicking in with a series of informations that are inserted into the holographic teaching system in the 6th dimension, unfortunately for most of you. But it's all the way through and through our planetary construction, even though that the Syrian vegan tried to override them in all of his different new versions of himself. And that's been part of some things I cleared out. That's why I needed to get all of his versions so I could shut down his different power pillars that would override the natural default mechanisms that would kick in if our reality reached a certain rate of failure. He put in a lot of pillars that allowed for the dark energies to operate inside this reality. And I've been clearing out these pillars one by one. I'm telling you, there's been a lot, and it's been a hideous type of work to do that. But I've done it. I pushed the button and I've taken down these pillars. So that's also been part of the work that I've been doing. So therefore, the original dynamics of this reality field and the resetting, and hence going into evac, and hence we are now running on different, we can call them directives as well, but the rules and the principles and the laws of the progressive worlds have also narrowed down to only the ones that master this will get through the eye of the needle and leave this reality. Otherwise, they will, in the eyes of the progressive worlds, have failed. And the overall instructions of the LPU that were inserted into this reality field under the ancient ones, these directives have been transgressed a long time ago. So therefore, there is no way around it, nowhere where you look. Either you do what you need to do now, or that's it. End of discussion. So with that last piece there, that will be, of course, I'll say it from time to time with what we're doing. Of course I will. But for now, I think all words have been said on this level when we talk about the 4th dimension. Of course, the whole Project New Business will be on the highest level of the 4th cycle, but that will be under the New Reality program. So that will be a different type of business. Again, following the original dynamics of the progressive work, as well as being able to get into the restoration program. So we are using the outer domain dynamics. So we are heading towards another level of reality where we need to adjust one more time. But you have learned to be a change maker, follow the patterns of change. You have learned to be a chaos pilot, dealing with whatever comes your way in the right manner, transforming it and putting it into its highest standards and highest purity rate. You have learned to be a path cutter to ensure that you will clear out your timelines, reconnect with the highest potential possibility rate that you have that are part of your consciousness units. You have learned the sciences of your template in the Template Science Course 1, 2, and 3. You, in both in the past and in the present and in the future version of what you need to deal with. Template Course 1 is in the past. Template Course 2 is about where are we now. Template Course 3 is what you need to develop. And in the transition sciences, you have learned how to build the transformative energy system you need to get into the restoration program. And then in the advanced clear work, you have got all the tools that you need to clear out whatever's left of technology inserted into your personal energy system that are keeping you stuck inside the enclosure. So all bases, all levels of information is now covered with this course material. And of course, I'll continue working with the sciences of the future human communities because that will be high leveled enough. And if none of you ever reach that level, then you will just do the restoration program where the vibrational field and your heart field is enough to create the orb that will allow you through the gates into the restoration program, where you will then recreate a holographic field that will function as a type of body there that will allow you to continue your progression work so you can get back through the gate systems into the holographic metaverse. For others, all depending on where you are and what you want to do, when you work with the mind field, that will be under the scope of the New Reality programs, because that will be the only functional 5th dimensional level inside this planetary setting. But we can connect to the 5th dimensional settings of the original middle domains, which is also covered by some of the sciences in the Pillar Project, but these sciences cannot be released into our understanding of things until a portion of you have reached that level of development. So until the majority is still struggling in the fourth, I cannot proceed with the Pillar Project, fifth dimensional knowledge base and sciences, because there is no pattern for it. I can create versions of the pattern using the new reality program, which I will. But that will also render us vulnerable to being part of the future human communities. And I definitely see that is a possibility. And if it is so, well, then that will be my first step of transition if I do this, which I think I will, because I got a long time left inside this reality field. And then alongside with that, gather information so that once I'm done with that or do a couple of cycles there, then I can take that to the councils, and then we can have a discussion whether or not these future human communities should get openings and become part of the holographic metaverse. So everything is in plan, everything is unfolding as it's supposed to. As always, highest purity rate, highest standards, highest progression rate, for the highest good of the many, as the first of many. Thank you.